If you have ever set foot into the rabbit hole that is typography, you probably know the difference between these two examples. In the top example, I've used straight quotes, and in the bottom example, I've used curly quotes. And as I write here, the top example is wrong and the bottom one is right, typographically speaking. And normally what you want to have is like some kind of program that automatically inserts the correct quotes. And that is what I'm going to show you in this video. In Emacs, of course, because that is what I use to write anything and everything. And there's a great small Emacs Lisp file that I use called typopunkt, and I'm going to show you that in this video. But I mean, really, realistically speaking, there really isn't that much of a setup. It's just a file I put in my init, and I'll show you in a second. But first, let me show you how it works. So I think I have it already. Yeah, I have it already enabled. So you need to enable typopunkt mode, and then you can just type something and insert a quote. And this is with normal double quotes, and you can also insert single quotes like that. Yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. So typopunkt automatically detects if there's a space in front of the quote, it will insert an opening quote, and if there is a character in front of the quote, it will insert a closing quote. So it's pretty simple. And this not only works with English quotes, but also with, for example, German quotes. So if I type here typopunkt change language, I can select German, for example, and if I now type opening quote, it will open the bottom quote, because that's how it is in German, typographically speaking. And then I can type something and close it again. Alright. So now to my init file. If I open that up, you will see I just load this Emacs Lisp file, and let me make this bigger. And I got this from this website, which I will show in a second. Then I set up the default language. There's this org hook I set up to automatically activate typopunkt mode in org mode. And then there are some more Emacs Lisp snippets, which I also got from the website. And I will show you what some of them do in a second. But yeah, first the website. So this is from the Emacs wiki, and there's this article about typographical punctuation marks. And yeah, I got it from there. I think it's linked. Yeah, it's linked right here. So if you click that, you'll get the Emacs Lisp file, which you can just put in your .emacs.d and load as I did in your config. Yeah, and this is all the stuff I have in my config. I just copied from here. Also the org mode hook and all the stuff. And to be honest, before recording this, I noticed that top in the top here there's a package linked that's called typo.el. And if you go to that, you will see an Emacs Lisp package also, but you can install this through Malpa, which you can't with typopunkt. And it does the same thing pretty much as far as I can make out here. Maybe a little bit better even, but it's also more complicated and has more options and stuff like that. So, but I think if you just want to have like this functionality, I think you might even be better off by using typo.el, so this package. But I don't have experience with it, so yeah, I'll show you typopunkt. But in any case, I mean, this video is basically just to show you how to do like correct typography in Emacs. At least when it comes to like quotes and some other minor things, which I'll get to in a second. So yeah, there are lots of Emacs Lisp snippets for typopunkt. For example, this ellipsis and middle dot snippet, which I've copied, which does the following. If I go back to this example, if you write something, and then you want to like show that there's something missing, or it's like an open end sentence kind of thing, you will normally insert, well, let me turn it off. You will normally insert 3 dots, and you might separate them by like spaces or something like that. But that's also, typographically speaking, kind of, or not typographically speaking, but rather technically speaking in this case, because I mean that looks fine, I guess, but it's kind of wrong. Well, not wrong, but it's, yeah, I guess it's kind of wrong, because what you can do on a computer is you can just use the ellipsis character, which is a Unicode character, and which, if I turn typo mode on again, and which you just saw, if I now insert 3 dots, it gets replaced by this ellipsis character. So this is 1 character and not 3. And so this is great because you can also now, you don't have to worry about like your dots being broken up by like line wrapping, for example. So because that would look like you have like your dots. Let me remove that. You have like your dots, and then because the line ends here, it gets, the next dot gets written here or something. So this can happen if you just have like the ellipsis character. And also there is like this middle dot. Oh no, it's, no, how does it work? Middle dot. Oh yeah, it's with the, I never really used this, with caret dot. So if I type caret and then dot, it gets converted to a middle dot, which is also super handy. And one thing I completely forgot to mention, but which is also very important, in which I think now like it's kind of funny because more people are getting like aware of this because of like AI text, or AI generated text, and that is write something, and then you want to have like you want to express a thought, or a like break in thought. So you will have a dash and then continue with something blah, and then another dash to continue what you wanted to write before. So and AI always does this typographically or typographically correct because it inserts an em dash, which is a long dash. So this is just a hyphen, and you use this for like word breaking, or for I don't know. This is also used for like breaking words by line. If saying what's the term for this? So if you write something, some, and then you are at the end of the line, and then you use a hyphen, or your for example LaTeX uses a hyphen to continue on the next line. But this is not used for this kind of thing, when you just want to insert a thought or anything. Again, what you use is an em dash in English. So and you can do this with typopunkt by just typing the hyphen repeatedly. So maybe you can see that, but if I type 1 hyphen, it's a hyphen. If I type 2 hyphens, it's an em dash, and if I type 3 hyphens, it's an em dash. So if I type 3 hyphens here, so that's correct, typographically speaking, or something else like that. And again, AI always does this correct, and no human on the internet ever basically does this in the right way. So it's a pretty big sign that something is AI generated, or the person writing it knows about like typography or cares about typography. And for example, in the German language, you use an en dash to do the same thing. And you also have, in German, you also have spaces around that. So, for example, ich schreibe etwas, so I write something, and then I want to insert something, here's something else. And so on and so forth. So, yeah. All right. And again, you can do this pretty easily and comfortably with typopunkt, which is great. All right, let me think. Have I missed anything? No. That's all I use typopunkt for, I think. Yeah, I don't remember what this is for. I think this is for wrapping a region in quotation marks, but I don't remember if I actually use that. If I do that? Ah, yes. Ah, okay. So this snippet is for, again, as I just said, and let me change the language again to English. So For example, if I want to mark or put this section here with something in quotation marks, I can just select it. So select the region and then hit quotation mark. So the straight quotes, the double quotes character on my keyboard, and it will quote it. Or the same thing should happen with single quotes, yeah. So this is also super useful. All right. And I'm sure that typo.el can do the same thing. I think it can even do more. For example, here in this example, it shows how it does nested quotes automatically. So if you nest quotes, for example, you have like a quoted sentence, a quoted, or for example, he says something. So or like that. After a while. So you use normal double quotes in the actual quotation, and then if you want to quote something inside the quotation, you use single quotes. Yeah, if that makes sense. Yeah. So, and again, typo.el does this automatically. Typo.punkt doesn't, I think, because typo.punkt doesn't know about or doesn't care about the context. It only cares about the preceding character. All right, and I wanted to also share a typographically or typographic. Oh God, English language is difficult. A typographic resource I have used quite extensively and I think is pretty good. And that is, let me go back. That is this right here, practical typography, which is pretty nice and which goes through all of this. For example, also there's a point about ellipses, that you should use the ellipsis characters and not 3 dots. And there's like a bunch of stuff here. So I would recommend you check it out if you care about that stuff. Also here, hyphens and dashes. This is about like dashes and en dashes and all this stuff. And it explains like the context and the history, and yeah, it's quite interesting, I think. There's also stuff about fonts and in general what's typography and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, all right. I think that's enough for this video. But I kind of, when it comes to typography, I'm kind of it kind of interests me. I find it interesting and also fun to like kind of get this stuff right. Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's it. Have a nice day.